Especially when I'm dieting as well. Oh, you son of a bitch.
Laney makes this. Well, should I?
Rocky Road, yeah?
Yeah.
Nice, mate.
I give it some to you before, actually.
Yeah.
Ages ago, you probably wouldn't.
Probably smashed it in 10 seconds and forgot about it.
All I remember you saying, you went, fucking hell, this is dirty, this is. So yeah, she, in all fairness, she makes this Rocky Road is deadly.
Mate, I'm packing this for Toronto.
Yeah.
August the 8th, about 1 p.m. This is going down. I'm telling you.
Oh, it's dense as well.
Straight after the photo shoot.
Yeah, it's pretty dense, that is. And also as well, hang on a second, I got more fucking gifts. Hang on a second. Where is it?
Sam's bag of surprises.
So, I've bought, right, you don't have to do these if you don't want to, okay?
Oh, I know what this is going to be.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
Smelling salt.
So basically, I thought we could do like this game after. So I basically, honestly, I've got too much time on my hands, clearly. So I thought you could use AI, right? Have you seen ChatGPT?
Yeah.
But by the way, should I pull this closer? I think I can.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen. There we go. I think that's okay.
You can adjust that.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, where do you want? Do you want it like?
Well, I love it. Can you bring it like forward?
Does sound coming through okay?
Oh, there we go. That's better. Yeah, because I'm not fucking leaning forward then all the time. So yeah, basically, I thought what we could do is use ChatGPT, and literally you just type in there. Give me one-liner jokes. And basically we have 2 jokes each, and the goal is the other 2 people can't even smile, and if you break the slightest smile when you say it after the joke and you've got 5 seconds of airtime, you have to do a shot of the smelling salts. I thought it was a good warm-up. Well, basically, powerlifters do them, don't they?
So our adrenaline's going to be pumping all fucking day, basically.
Yeah. and as well, these ones, there you go, I'm set up now. These ones as well, apparently, they're fucking deadly, these are, apparently. Check them out.
Beast.
If I open that now, I'll smell it.
What's that?
If I open that now, will I smell it?
I don't know. It's a fresh...
Do you smell it then?
Oh.
Did you smell it just from that?
Yeah. Fuck.
Did you? Maybe not.
I'll tell a joke, but I'm fucking done. Jesus Christ, my eyes are watering.
Is it like? I guess it's like almost like people with the pepper spray. Is
I
it?
just chuck you off, yeah.
Fuck me.
I almost want to try.
Mate, that's in my throat.
Open this product. Open this product. It causes a bottle to fizz. Heat may cause a bottle to fizz and leak when opening. To minimise.
Fucking, we're all doing it now.
I haven't even opened it. And I can.
Get your head on that, James. Only pussy now.
I did. Were you there when I did the cinnamon in SOS or not?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you do, don't
Fucking hell.
tip it. Don't tip it over the carpet, because then we're never coming back. Oh, and a sec. Right, what you got to do is like this, right? And a sec.
I got it.
Oh, fuck. You don't even have... apparently, right, these ones...
You don't have to open the lid, mate.
Fuck! Oh, my God.
So what are they made from then? What is it?
Oh, fuck that. Hey, I'm afraid he's going to stink out the room. That is intense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so these apparently... These are the world's strongest... that is proper, isn't it?
What is actually the ingredients in it, though? That's what I mean.
So basically...
Instead of ending the podcast with it, we started the podcast with it.
Yeah. We started the podcast with it.
I've still got that Remy.
Yeah, so this is...
You can smell it, can't you?
Apparently, they're the world's strongest... No, Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
So he's got a chain of
that's his
smelling
stuff,
salts.
is it?
Yeah,
Right.
that's his stuff. And these apparently the world's strongest smelling salts. Apparently.
I believe it, mate.
Are you doing a hit on it then or not?
What's that?
Are you doing a hit before you start?
Literally, I was just here and it hit
Blowing
me
your head
straight
off.
away, yeah.
My eyes are still watering.
Well, should we leave that for a bit and then maybe we'll do that after, or do you want to give her a go now? It's up to you.
I've just done a belter.
Yeah.
Like I can still feel it. My throat has just gone like that.
That's mad, isn't it? I've never done smelling salt in my life before. So, I don't know, after maybe we'll give her a go. But, mate, what's been going on anyway? Give us a deep, because how long has it been? It's been about 2-3 years, hasn't it? Since, about 2 years.
2022. Yeah, last time we saw.
2022, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I doing then?
You were doing
online.
Yeah, just your own online coaching, that was.
So it might have been just after you that, I spoke to Ben. He reached out, we would chat. Like, we sort of knew each other before.
Yeah.
Like, we chatted. We were in the same we're in like an email group with Dr. Eric Serrano. And we're sort of communicating through there since like 2018, 2019. I was going to go and see him in, I think, Tampa. And something happened. I just couldn't get to the gym. So I was in Orlando, he was in Tampa. And we just couldn't make the date work, I think. And then I think through COVID, obviously I was a listener of the podcast and so on. And we were communicating on Instagram. And then I shared one of his podcasts on my story, or shared one of his stories, something like that on Instagram. And then he's sort of like gone in and seen the communication we were having. He's like, "Oh, so sorry, I've been on it." Like he's not one for social media type of thing. He's better in person. Like he'll probably fully admit to that. He's like, "Look, I'm looking for some real top coaches. I want to come on board and work with me. This is the big picture type of thing." And so we had a meeting, and I was like, "Yeah, I want to be part of something like that." 'Cause like I'm a people person. Like, being solo online it can be tough.
It can be. Definitely.
And yeah, I like to have good people around me, working with good people. And I think if you've got a big project you're working on and you can see a big picture, then you're part of something big, I think. And you get good people involved in that. And that was something I thought, that was pretty good. And we discussed what that would look like in terms of online coaching for coaching his clients. So yeah, I got a roster of clients. And we discussed about education as well. So part of that was further down the line, we were going to partner on some education stuff, which is just starting to come to fruition now. So we started at the beginning of this year, launching that in Canada. So we're doing some live workshops, like our level 1, more like precision execution type stuff. We're teaching coaches in Canada right now. And then the transition is going to be, still doing that, but we want to have an online platform where we get a membership going. And really, it's not so much like, yes, we're going to teach them skills on the gym floor and skills like how to coach and write programs and all that stuff, but it's more like how to develop people, like, and have I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like grow as what a coach should be and a leader should be as a coach, right? So it's not just I'm writing your program. I want to make you a better person, and the person you're becoming is the people follow you because of the person you are, not because they're going to write me reps and sets. Yeah. Right. So it's showing up every day, like, and being the person you want to be,
That's amazing, that is. Yeah. That's so cool, because I think there's a lot of people in this industry, they do have the knowledge there, but when it comes, because actually I was chatting to this last night, some of my guys, a question got brought up, like, what are some of the key characteristics of being successful as a PT? And I think the key aspect is you've just got to have an ability to speak to people, and you've just got to know yourself, I think, as well, your values as a person, and
the word there's values, man.
Like,
and I think that's why I sort of connected with Ben pretty well. So our first sort of call, we had a chat about the bigger picture and so on, but our values lined up pretty well. So if you look at the values that we stand for in MI, muscle intelligence is like family first. Yeah. So if there's anything, an issue with your family, everything else stops. We cover you, and you take care of your family.
That's amazing.
So if you look at the clientele that we coach, it is typically males over 35, successful executives, and doesn't have to be executives, but people who are successful in whatever endeavor life they have, but need to take a step in different directions and maybe missing that part where they've pushed all of their life towards achieving this big successful thing, but then have had to let go of
health
and so on, and that side, and they feel that that's still missing. But then if you think about, if you lack that, what are those components of that part of your life give you for this, like, business part of life as well? So, or even family part of life. And you see what I'm saying? Like finances, business, family, that might lack because you're lacking this health component, because if that drops, the way we look at it is how much physical capacity do you now have, or physical resilience. And resilience gets thrown around a lot, but if I've got, for example, a better VO2 max, right? I've trained my heart rate to be at a certain level. I can sustain low heart rates. I can sustain max heart rates. So I'm building my physical fitness. Then I'm enduring weight training through the week, and that might be strength endeavors or hypertrophy endeavors, wherever it is. But at some point in that training session, you've got to ask yourself a question whether you're willing to go that next step or not.
Yeah.
So people can liken that to spending 2 minutes in a cold tub, doing an extra rep on a set, whatever it is. You're building that mental resiliency. So yes, you can push yourself in business and so on. But I honestly believe that if you can build these health components back in, that's going to give you more mental resiliency to push that even further. And then our job as coaches is to design a perfect day for that client that comes in to show that, yes, you can still push yourself in business and still be successful, but you should also have success with your family, with your health, and so on. So we design a blueprint for them.
That's incredible.
You know, so because essentially if you push one and you drop the other, your life, like, that's the missing components. What we see that people are coming into the coaching is like, I want to have all of it and I just don't know how to get it. Like, that's what they're coming to.
That's why when I set my goals, I look at personal, professional, physical. Like, those are the three lanes that I'm trying to, and it's easier said than done, because as you said, Dennis, it's fucking hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to like get them all kind of in balance or in harmony, you know? And I mean, I think that's the biggest aspect. People, like, yeah, maybe they're on top of their training, but, you know, what about their work? Or if they're on top of their work, what about their home life or family life? Yeah. So I think that's definitely going to be a massive benefit for people, you know?
And it's also like, you look at a lot of the guys that come in, family's a big part of it. Like, we do obviously talk training and like, what, how many days can you train? Let's work out the optimal split. And we start to look at the blueprint that way. But the main thing I like to talk about and discuss is like, what is the main mission you're coming in for? Like, unless we can understand really why you're pushing this as the main thing that you need to focus on, the drop-off rate after that is like, well, they're not fully committed because they haven't understood why they're doing it. And maybe Ben, similar to myself, is on maybe a similar mission to that, but I always think about how am I leading people in my life, be it my clients, my wife and my kids. My wife and my kids are probably the main push for me. Obviously, my clients come into that as well. So I'm like, what am I teaching my kids from my daily actions? Am I spending enough time with them and giving them enough focus? And that's a struggle that everybody will have. I'll probably never be perfect at it, but my goal is to strive to be better at it every day. Now with that, it's like, especially my son, my daughter as well. My daughter's grown into a beautiful woman. Now she's like 14, she's taller than me. She's like got her own little emotions and attitude, and she's developing into like a beautiful woman. But my son, like, I want to teach them that it's okay to make mistakes because you're going to make them, but how to respond to those mistakes as well. So like, I want to teach them the mistakes I made, how to maybe think about it, correct it. Like I was discussing with my wife today about my daughter's obviously going into her GCSEs now in high school. And a lot of the talk is around what you have to do in university afterwards. You need to know what you're going to do as a job afterwards. And she's like worrying about it. I'm like, chill. Like, just relax. I said, this is my brain going into it. Like, pick what you love. Like, first off, essentially, you could go through university, do what you think you enjoy, get your degree, come out and realize it's not your passion. Or you've done it, you try the job in real life and you go, do you know what? This isn't what I really want to do. Like, it doesn't inspire me every day. And I'm like, that's okay. Like, you're 22. Like, at that point, you're 22 years old. Do something else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, people can still have enough time to, if money is their main driver, go and earn exponential amount of money. But she's still only 22. So like, go and do another degree or find the passion you want. So I'm trying to instill that type of guidance a little bit, but just let them experience everything. You know?
I think as well today we got so much pressure from outside sources on social media. Like that's a big one that I've noticed, you know, is people, you do get a lot on business courses actually, and I understand why they're doing it, but you know, it's like, you know, this person made this much a month or whatever it may be, and you have a lot of that coming in on social media, and there's that comparison component, and like I think we need more of that, of people saying actually be a bit more patient, like take the pressure off yourself, you know.
Yeah, I was part of one of those business.
Yeah.
It's like moving from a gym-based product to an online product. You're thinking, well, what do I need to do? Like I know you've done some business stuff online as well and hiring a mentor is probably the best thing you can do, because they show you a structure on what it's going to take to earn X amount in an online space. And that's a great thing to know.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you can get caught up in the figures and you're looking at everybody else in that mentorship group and going, this person's doing X, this person's doing way more than that. Should I be striving towards this? All of a sudden, like you're pushing yourself to hit these numbers, and that's where that business side takes over. And then, like we started with, right? The business side takes over, and all of a sudden your health, like, I don't need to train today, I got to hit this number. Oh, I'm going to spend 2 more hours on my business, and then you lack that with your kids. Like there has to be a balance. And then once you step back and go, how much money do I actually need to make?
Yeah.
Right. So again, I'll come back to the conversation I had with Ben, and we looked at everything that I needed to make and what I was earning at the time. At that time, I was going down that path where it was like way less time with my family, way more time on my business. Yes, I was doing a photo shoot probably last time, and like my training was going up, but I wouldn't say my health was coming down.
This is when you're self-employed.
Yeah.
Coaching,
Yeah. And I wouldn't say my health was coming down, but it was a big part of my day where it was a selfish part that I had to take to get to the body fat levels I was getting to. So I was like, what is my main mission? And I brought that back and I was like, do you know what? I don't need to. At the time, I think I was bringing in on average 20, 25K a month. I was like, I don't need to make that. Like, okay, I could be putting away and investing in this and that. But I was like, well, if to make that amount of money, I've got to do this, this, and this, that's going to take away my time here, here, and here. You can't put a price on time. So I was like, nah, I don't need that. Let's push this. And that's the decision I made. And that's where my pathway led in the past, I think nearly 3 years now, been with Ben at Muscle Intelligence. And it's been fantastic, man. Like just being able to help the type of guys and coach these guys that are coming in, and a lot of them are very, very successful people. I just feel fortunate enough to be able to coach them on this area of their life, to help them 10x sometimes, even while they're doing in their business. And that's what I mean by sometimes bringing back that fitness level so you can focus on the business. We've had guys actually 10x their business by doing less and focusing more on resiliency. It's nuts. Like we've got testimonials on it.
Yeah, I get it, mate. And everything you just said then I can 100% relate to, because I feel like I've gone, like, I understanding more about yourself, what you actually care about. And I think one of the big things that I have actually done, which I'm not saying I've figured it all out by any means, but one thing I've actually done, which I think it was a good thing, spending my time. For every book I read on business or training, I probably read about 3 books on self-help or just philosophy, like, and perspective on life. And I think it's easy to identify that not only then once you have that knowledge in other people, but also in yourself as well, because we all end up in those traps, you know, of like chasing the figures, or, you know, thinking it's all about money, and then you need to have that realization of actually, no, like what are the things that I care about the most, you know? So mate, I get that 100%, you know?
And it's always going to be a fine balance on, sometimes things will take a little bit more of a priority. Sometimes things will dip depending on the part of the year you're going to go into and so on. So things will shift, but I think as long as the people that you're surrounding yourself with understand what you're working towards, and you're all in harmony and in the whole decision-making process. Like I have my wife, you know, like at the minute I'll be traveling a little bit more frequently with Ben. We're going to back and forth to Canada at the moment teaching, and it's like just trying to, like if I wouldn't be able to do that unless my family were part of that.
Yeah.
Like otherwise, and again, I'll miss the boat sometimes, and we'll get into some discussions with my wife. I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot about that. Sorry. You know what I mean? So, but she's absolutely amazing. Like, it's like, yep, you go and do what you got to do. I got this. And as long as we plan it together, things work very smoothly.
Yeah.
But if you go out on your own and you forget this, that's when there can become a little bit of a disharmony, so to speak. And then you got problems that way as well. So
what's the because obviously how many, it's 2 years you've been working?
nearly 3.
Nearly 3. Because obviously, as you said, you know, you're surrounding yourself with, like, from what I see, like a really positive environment and everything. What you said there, you know, obviously working with Ben, and then obviously the people you're working with as well. Like, what are some of the biggest things that you've learnt from that group of individuals? Because obviously you were training with Dorian Yates, weren't you, as well? That is nuts. Did you learn anything from that dude? I presume so.
First off, I think surrounding the coaches that are on the team as well. Like, I went into the team, there were some coaches there already. Every coach on our team is world class, like unbelievable. Like, I could honestly call them up one day and they would offer advice. They would probably do anything for anybody else on the team at the drop of a hat. Like, that's the sort of camaraderie we have. That's the bond that we have as a team. It's possibly the best team I've ever been involved with, like, by far. And we had a great team when we were in the gym as well.
Yeah.
And that team was great. But I that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to surround myself with amazing people. And I think this group of coaches is just absolutely world class.
Wow. Yeah.
World class. And their level of expertise, their level of knowledge on their scope of genius is exceptional. So, like, we've got Chris Fudge from Canada, possibly one of the best powerlifting coaches I've ever seen. Like, he's trained champions, you know. So probably grab a call with him, man. He's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely.
Very funny guy as well. He's fantastic. Like Steve as well. Steve Hughes, exceptional. Like, every one of them exceptional what they do. Like, you know, Greg as well.
Yeah.
He does a lot of the nutrition stuff, a lot of the lab testing for us. Dan Smith used to coach with M10, phenomenal physique guy. Mark Roper is a genius at energy systems, things like that. He's come from like the Poliquin background and the Serrano background as well. But energy systems is his thing. So he really helps coach people through high rocks and really gets them strong and efficient and fit at those things too. We've got a couple of others. Andrew Case used to be an NFL athlete. Like, we've got some real deep backgrounds around us. Another guy from Canada, Michael Maris. Like, every one of them is just unbelievable. So just surrounding myself there with those guys has just helped me up level and make me, one, have to be at the top of my game. You know what I mean? Like, you have to do that, because otherwise you're not going to be raising with the group. Like, you start to sink in that group, you're going to be out, type of thing. And not because you're a bad person, but it's like, if you can't keep up, it's like, we're going fast. So let us help you get to that level with us. And that takes planning your week right. That takes planning your priorities and your values right, you know?
Yeah.
So that's helped me massively, just the group of people that I'm around. And then, obviously spending more time with Ben. Like, the standards he has is, you go and train with Ben, like, you know how to train. Like, he pushes, like, he's very good in a way, so he still keeps you at the level you need to be. He's not going to push you to lifting the weights he's going to lift by any means, but he knows there's always another level you can go. And he sort of creeps it out of you every session, right? He creeps it out of you every session. And Dorian was the same. When we trained with Dorian, we did legs. It was possibly the worst night's sleep of my life before that, because I was so nervous. I thought we were going to, because he's known for his back, right? So we're thinking, okay, we're going to get a session with Dorian, train him back. And Dorian couldn't do the day we were going to do back. So he's like, I'm going to do tomorrow, but we train back that day. So he's like, do you want to do legs? Ben's like, yep, let's do legs. I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. So I'm like getting nervous all night. And literally, man, we did his full-on high intensity type stuff, you know? So it was like one all-out set. And it unlocks part of you that you didn't even know was there.
Really?
Like, yeah. Especially with the people you're training with as well. So
that's everything, mate.
You got a 6-time Mr. Olympia in front of you telling you to do more reps, you do more reps. Like, and all you can provide in that moment is effort. That's all you got. Like, I'm not trying to lift the same weights as the next man coming into the thing. It's like, if you give 100% effort, that's all you got.
That's
all you can give. So if people see that, it's like, it's a respect. Like,
that's a respect thing. Yeah, that's my language right there. Like, because I look at, like, I don't know, there's a time and a place, obviously, as you said, like creeping up when it's time to go, you gotta go.
Pull a pin. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and you can learn a lot about someone in that circumstance, can't you? You know, I've had it where, because I'm training down, do you know Pacific Gym in Nankaru? Yeah. Like, mate, really, I shout them out, really amazing gym. I've been training there now for about 1.5 years, and one thing that he listens to this, Liam, my mate Liam, he's actually moving on from there now. He's going down to Iron, but super strong dude, and we're basically like training partners, me and him. And Fucking hell, mate. The last year, we absolutely beasted ourselves, the both of us. Like, we were following the same type of philosophy of programming.
Yeah.
And every week, I'd come in and it's like, fuck me, I don't know if I've got in me this week, and we've got set weights that we've planned to hit.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then that picks you up and puts you in a different mindset and holds you accountable because then the competitiveness comes into it then. And mate, I took my squat up all the way up to 245 just
Nice.
within a year of training there, just purely from
The environment.
Just purely the environment, and like people talk about West Side and the magic of West Side. I think that was it really, wasn't it?
You look at the environment there, like what Louis would say, this person is again stronger, is everybody else's fault in the gym. So everybody's accountable for each other. And that's like the type of thing I was describing with the boys on the team. Like, it's such a high standard. Like, if standards drop, everybody should be helping each other to pick it up, and we're all going to go. Like, we want to bring each other up fast. So it's the same thing. You surround yourself in the right environment, you're always going to grow. And that's what I love about it.
What's because I want to get into, because you guys, you primarily target basically it's almost like, is it men over 40? Is that the audience?
Men over 35.
With 35,
successful men over 35. And again, it could be executives. I've got like a few coaches that have come on, and I'm coaching some coaches as well, where they want to just see what is capable of their body, and I'm meeting them where they're at, and then we coach them from there. And then obviously they might want to pick my brains on a few things, and so they have coaching calls every week. So every week we catch up. It's like, what do we need to discuss based off your program right now? What questions do you have? We're looking at the blueprint and going, okay, have you hit your daily top 5? Do we need to change anything? Have we got anything coming up next week we need to think about and adjust in the program? Like, we're going into detail so we can maximize the results as much as possible, So that's how we pretty much coach. But we want to instill, like, what is the optimal blueprint for this person's life? So it's not so much that we're going to, if you're coming in for a 90-day intensive transformation, then we just drop the hammer, we go to work. Like, you need to be 100% all in, and you have to be selfish at that point. So that's where you might disregard like family, business, things like that. If you're coming in for that time, we'll try our best to keep all those components in. But if you're saying you want to lose 25 pounds of fat in 90 days, we ain't got a lot of time to mess around. Like, we got to go. So if you're on your diet 70% of the time, we're not hitting the target.
Right.
Like, it's just not going to happen. If you're training, you come in 4 to 5 days a week, and you're doing 2 to 3, it ain't going to happen. Like, we have to be realistic about the targets we're going to set. If somebody comes in, typically over a 12-month period, then we can really refine this blueprint. So by the time you finish, that's your blueprint for life, because we've now coached you on how to maintain this forever, because this is your optimal blueprint. And it might be, an executive might have 2 to 3 blueprints. So you got a blueprint for home, you got a blueprint for work, and you got a blueprint for when you travel for work. Because those 3 blueprints are totally different. Because how do you keep up with nutrition and focus on nutrition when you're on the road and you're eating in restaurants, and you might have meal prep delivered to your hotel, and that's part of our service sometimes, especially for the high guys that come in. They might have a concierge service that come with us, where we go on a system that helps them control that type of stuff. So if one of my clients goes away for work, it's like, I'm going to this place for the next 7 days. I'm in this hotel. We look at the restaurants. Our concierge service will look at the restaurants within a certain proximity to the hotel. These are the best options. Do we want meal prep done for this day? Things like that. So we'll get meal prep service delivered. We can have supplements delivered. We can do all of that type of stuff for them,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's your biggest tips then and advice? Well, I suppose a better question would be, what's the main issues that you find these people run into, and what's the biggest thing that you've had to rectify in these people's lives?
Getting engaged with why they're doing it first. What is their main purpose? Like, and sometimes they find they're on a path which doesn't align with their main why, and they're losing their health in this way. So we just realign that first. That's the main thing. I think if you get on top of that first, that really drives the commitment to 100%. So once you've got a commitment on why you're doing it, then it's simple, because now we can timeline everything. Because if the commitment is like, this is why I'm doing it, And especially if it's around family and leadership, around your kids and things like that, it's like, you can't let your family down. Right, let's go. So then we just define the blueprint around that. Then we go, what can you commit to? And one of the principles we live by is like, we want 100% success every day. But it doesn't mean that you hit the overall goal at the end of the month. But if we hit everything 100% success every day, we build motivation, we build energy, we build results. So whatever that needs to be, we meet you where you're at, and we build and compound on those results.
Yeah, Tony Robbins talks about that. I've forgotten what there's a term to it. I've forgotten it now, but he talks about how like picking up momentum in your life, like those small wins throughout the day. They have a big impact, and because I don't know, like we all have, like, say, 1,000 mini battles in a day, maybe, and if you can win most of them, that's where you start to just pick up that momentum forward in your life. But those tiny decisions people don't necessarily think about, do they? They've got those bad habits ingrained into them, and they kind of just lose momentum. They're actually going backwards.
Like when we look at it, like, yes, you're going to have certain things that have dropped off health-wise, fitness-wise, and so on. So we'll obviously do testing when they come in their first week. Like, we just want to watch them move first of all. So a lot of our clients send videos. The ones that send the videos get the fastest result, like especially movement quality and strength and things like that. If we're seeing videos and we're analyzing videos, we're sending feedback, like those types of results will accelerate quicker. We focus on muscular contraction first, skill acquisition, making sure all those movements are really dialed in, because it's pointless trying to just chase progressive overload if all of that isn't dialed in.
Right.
So we focus on like 6 pillars of any transformation. So the first 3 things we would focus on that we want to check off is 3 S's. So we got skill acquisition. We got how much stress have you got coming into your life, and what's your sleep like? Because if you can manage stress and sleep, and you're working on skill, so with skill, you're not going to go to muscular failure or get all of these like massive loads on the bar. We need to move well.
Yeah.
So we're staying further away from failure on those lifts. So we're building skill in those. We're trying to not take all the stress away, but we're trying to manage where your main stresses need to be and down-regulate the rest of them. So like a lot of people, just to numb whatever's going on in there, you'll find they're scrolling on social media quite a lot, or they'll go to
distractions.
Distraction. They'll have a dopamine hit from something else like food or porn, whatever it is, right? So we need to look at all of that stuff and go, well, let's bring some of that stuff down. Let's build up your resiliency there in terms of not having your dopamine being hit all day. So we can just, because there's going to be a reserve of that. So if that's constantly depleted, we can build up a reserve of dopamine now. So you don't need that as much. And now you can push other parameters in training, right?
Yeah.
So again, we can't take away all the stress, especially in their work life and so on. We can only help them manage it, and then we build the resiliency in it.
Right.
So that's why we focus on those first 3 things. And if sleep isn't there, then they're not recovering. So
it's game over.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying we're going to improve somebody's sleep from 5 hours to 9 hours in the first month. That can be a long process for somebody. But if we can improve the quality as much as possible, so setting up their environment so they can really have a good night's sleep and recover, and they feel refreshed in the next day, and obviously their energy's up, right? So the first thing we want to build in that first 30 days is, one, if you think about motivation, if we can build energy into their day, they're more motivated to train. If we can build progress into every day, there's more motivation. It's like if I can see progress and I'm in it and I've got more energy, I'm like more motivated to go and do something. So those are the 2 components I want to see: energy and progress. And I try and build that into especially the first 30 days.
What were some of the, because like people that like, what do you find the bad habits are? Like what are you trying to almost get out to people? Is it mainly like, I don't know, stress is obviously a big one. Like I know that obviously working with people is like when stress is up, like that's always usually correlated with a bad training week. Yeah. It's like what are usually those stresses for people that you're kind of almost trying to eradicate if you can?
Yeah, it's like a lot of people, there's no routine in what they're doing. It's like, again, it's not having the perfect routine, but at least if you focus on the main things that's going to give you the resilience or recoverability to go and do something the next day. The main thing is staying up way too late, scrolling on, doing extra work later in the night, things like that, when it's typically because there's less focus through the day because there's distraction through the day, and not having blocks timed out, when your focus needs to be there. So if you're more, I'm not saying everybody needs to do this, but if you block a section of work and you go deep and you get more done in 45 minutes
That's
than you've done in 3
key, mate.
hours.
That's fucking key.
Like, boom, tick, 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 done. Next thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that. I do it myself in my work week where I'll block things in, I'll take a little break, and I'll block things in again, I'll take a break. So I get more work done in that time than I would over the space of 2 days. So now I've saved myself that time. But it's just, again, being consistent with that, and then you'll start to build momentum in it. So it's just fine-tuning why you spending more time on your laptop at night or potentially scrolling social media at night, so we can look at that type of stuff, bring that down, help recovery. So those are typically bad habits. Obviously going for certain things I'm not saying the naughty cupboard, but there's always things in the house you're going to go for, right? So those things are in the cupboard, you're going to go and eat them. But I'm asking, well, why?
Yeah.
Like, they can be there. So are you emotionally eating? Why are you emotionally eating? Right? So that's one of the things. Typically, it's going to be some kind of stress going on. So it could be relationship issues. So one of the things, especially on the check-in forms, we've got 10 things that we check in with as an optimization thing. And one of them is relationships and human connection. So I want to see what that is. Because if relationships aren't in a good level, I'm not a counselor by any means, but it's giving a different perspective on maybe supporting them on their relationship. Like, look at it from this perspective, right? So even though you're driving and pushing your business to this level, how does that look to your partner, or do they want more time with you? And, do you know what I mean? And that's causing a bit of conflict. So I'm always trying to give a big overall picture and scope. I'm not saying you have to change anything, but I'm just trying to give them direction and going, well, there's this component to your life as well. So if that's lacking, and there's arguments and friction and tension, that's going to cause more stress for you. And again, it might be that I advise maybe you go for relationship counseling or something like that, right? So again, those are deep conversations that might not happen in the first week, but the more rapport and
there's always like the 2-3 months in, you find out stuff like that,
exactly,
isn't there? Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden, we could potentially do that, or we put things in place where now we're aware of that like habit that we have and going to eat something late at night. If I'm aware of it, what do I do before it? What is the trigger for that? And then we put things in the way of getting to that. So if that's the case, I might do some breath work. Like, the one thing I've learned a lot in the last 3 years, and I've seen it because I practice it myself, but I've also utilized it now with a lot of clients. The one thing we've used that I now agree with Ben is the most underutilized thing in performance in the gym and in life in general is breath work. I've seen so much benefit if it's done correctly. Like, how to amp yourself up before a session. Maybe I can still smell the beast, like salt.
Me. I don't want to say anything. It's fucked me up.
My eyes are still
Literally,
going.
I was thinking about doing that game. I don't know anymore. I'm scared.
But like, you
Fucking
think
hell.
about what that's done, it's like driving adrenaline.
Yeah.
But I can do that in 10 seconds with my breath. Right? But then I can control my breath to bring myself down.
Yeah.
So after the set, how do I bring my sympathetic drive down to a more calm state so I can control my heart rate? So control, resting heart rate comes down, and I can amp myself back up between sets. And I've even, like, in training set, and this is a training thing, you need to do it over and over and practice. But like, how, when you take those sets to the limit, how can you control yourself to be quiet in that moment of aggression? Like, because if you can control that, you control every inch of that rep.
Yeah.
So it's not rushing and panicking. It's being controlled in that stressful environment.
I think,
So
yeah.
if you think about, if you can do that, like we call it, our camps are called warrior and the monk. So can you be the monk when you're in that warrior state? Can you be calm when there's stress around you? So if you can do that when you're in the training session, that's what we do in the gym. Well, how does that translate to your business life? Because when things arise and there's stressful environments in your work, can you stay calm in that moment and make better decisions that can 10x your business and not emotionally react?
That's a really interesting philosophy, and it's actually because I for big sessions anyway, I don't do it all the time, but I do a lot of visualization before I actually do the training.
Yeah.
So someone the other day, they fucking walked into the gym and she was like, nobody was in there, obviously. And I was just sat at the edge of the bench, my eyes closed, looking down. And she walked in and she said, Sam, you okay? I was like, oh, sorry. I was like, I'm visualizing.
Yeah.
I think she thought I was crazy or something. She must have. But for me, that's what I'm doing, is running through every part of that top set in my head. And I'm not thinking necessarily about, I'm purely thinking about a specific feel, right? So like how things should feel on my back.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm running through my framework in my head. And my goal is never really to execute the load, but it's always to execute the technique no matter what. Like that's my thing.
Yeah.
So I can miss a weight and I'm okay if I've nailed the technique.
Yeah.
And I can relate a lot to what you're saying through that, because something you often hear coaches say, especially powerlifting coaches, don't think when it comes to like their top weight.
Yeah.
So I've actually got a different opinion to that, where I actually think a lot.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think a lot is because I want to be in a closed loop system or an open loop system when I'm lifting.
Yeah.
Because it's different, right? It's not like basketball, where with basketball you can kind of like, you can't do that. But because it's static and it's just like squats, deadlifts, all that sort of stuff, this slow strength movements, you have the ability to stay closed loop and to control that. So I think that's a really interesting perspective. And if you can take that from the gym and apply it, laterally to life.
I think there's a couple of things to unpack there with, like, depending on the goal as well. So your powerlifting goal, because you can see the argument for both sides and what you're doing and what they're doing, right? So if you think about don't think, so if you think about like powerlifting, you want every rep to look identical.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. So that's years of practice. But like, is that going to look identical when you lift a max?
No.
Probably not. But everything else leading up to that, if everything's ingrained in and that movement quality is there, all you train is skill, skill. So if you think about motor unit recruitment, a lot of the strength acquisition is from coordination. So if the coordination patterns are happening, you're getting better motor unit recruitment, and the central command from the brain is going, yep, fire. But at certain points, you do have to take those lifts to where you need to take them to feel the strain of what a 1RM might feel like, or like then you obviously back off before your competition and so on. But with the mode of training, we would typically start with maybe what we call muscle-centric exercise. Typically what we look at in building the skill acquisition in is we want to train clients, especially if they want to build their body from a muscle point of view. We still want to build strength for sure, but we look at the short position and the end position because they're the weakest ranges. So if I can get them stronger there first, and then I can teach them what that rep looks like, but they have to have control on those ranges. So if they're slinging weights about and not even controlling that first inch out of the short range or the lengthened range, then the tension isn't there. I don't know what is controlling that movement. So this is why we start with programming in a specific way with, like, yes, we hold isometrics, but we get them thinking about certain things in that moment. And then when they get to those last few reps, it's like still in control. So if I'm teaching them how to do a front squat, I might add those things in, but I'm staying, like you would do in powerlifting, for example, stay close away from failure. You don't want to do that. Then what exercises can I output? So you have two buckets. We've got a skill and we've got an output bucket. So what exercises go into skill? What do I need to improve with them? For some people, it's front squats. Some people, it's hack squat machine, whatever it is. And then we have output exercises where we're going to work.
Yeah.
Like we're going to train you hard on those.
And those would be typically like machines and
Machine isolation to start with, things like that. And then obviously the buckets move as we transition. So now we can build exercise selection up and we add more layers to that. But if you think about it in general, a lot of people just don't need a lot of different exercises. Just get good at the basic ones first. And then we just start to add in.
Yeah.
Right. So, once they're ready for that stuff and they can really take those especially those output sets to where they need to take them. For some people, it's a leg extension. And some people panic on a leg extension, even though it's...
pain mate of a leg extension, like
so we think
set
pain,
of failure leg extension. I mean...
So we think pain, if you're not used to that, that's going to downregulate the motor unit recruitment you would need to recruit the muscle fibers you want. So that person can't tolerate that pain. And it's not to say you don't train it. I think, and we did a bit of a mentorship with Chris Beardsley on hypertrophy development and all the research on hypertrophy right now. It's fascinating for sure. But the one thing that came out was like, you can train that tolerance. So even though it might not be maximal for hypertrophy in terms of motor unit recruitment in that moment, in that isolated phase of training, you're training that to get you ready for other things. So I still think you can get some hypertrophy from it, but I think sometimes we have to train certain aspects of the whole system to enable you to do more further down the line. So that's where maybe you call it periodizing if you want to, but I think you do have to train that component to it as well, like show people what they can actually do, an ability to tolerate that type of uncomfortable feeling. So they build up that resiliency. So the brain's like, yeah, I got it, got it, output. And then you just build resiliency.
What were you talking about? There's momentum as well. It's like planning momentum into a training system. I don't think that's something a lot of coaches they consider is structuring something that allows a client to pick up that momentum. That's the key. I say that to my guys all the time. It's like momentum is what gets people strong. You know, that's the key thing that you need to look at there. But yeah, that's fascinating, mate. That's brilliant. Yeah. I've got another section that I planned. That's an hour gone, 2:15.
Good.
Or should we do an intermission? Do you want to check your phone? And then we'll have a toilet break and then we'll come back. Mate, that's fascinating.